There's an unexplainable bond between sisters, and you know this if you're lucky enough to have one. When your sisters are hurting, you feel their pain. And some sisters will do just about anything to help, as you'll see in our special Healthy Living report.
I'm sitting in the front seat crying.
At age 28, Tanya Radcliffe had just found out she wasn't going to be able to have a baby.
I come from a big family. My husband comes from a big family, so we always said we wanted to have like 4 kids.
This wasn't the first time in Tanya's life that she'd received bad news from a doctor.
When I was 16, my mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Her mother passed away when Tanya was in college. A couple of years later, she met Dan, and they got engaged. But then more bad news. She tested positive for the breast cancer gene. Because of Tanya's family history, her fertility specialist advised her to have her family immediately. But after the long process of surgery, fertility treatments, and starting IVF, more bad news.
She also had some probably genetic or congenital issues with the lining of her uterus that would make it very difficult for her to be able to carry.
We had done all this work to produce these kids that were just waiting for us, and we just didn't have a home for them.
But the sisters had been talking.
I'm sitting in the front seat crying, and they both said, you know, somebody in this car is going to have your baby by the end of the year.
It was an astounding offer.
When you're from a tight-knit family, it's hard to conceive of individual happiness. You know, your sisters and brothers' triumphs are your triumphs, and their sorrows are your sorrows.
Cassie and Tara became gestational surrogates for Tanya and Dan.
We created embryos which we were then able to transfer back to her sisters.
I don't even know if I could put into words, actually, what type of feeling that it gave to me to be able to provide something like this.
Tanya Radcliffe's sisters gave her the greatest gift of all. And now they have Connor and Lucy.
Are you hungry, sweetie?
Then things changed again. Lucy, their first baby, was only 3.5 weeks old. It was their first family vacation, but Tanya wasn't feeling well. So when she got home, she went to the doctor.
They said I was 6.5 weeks pregnant.
Knowing that we had one and then one on the way and then another one in the oven, it was like, oh my goodness.
Connor hadn't even been born yet, and Tanya was pregnant with her 3rd child in 1 year.
After everything that we had been through and all the things we had tried, that this would just happen on a whim.
Can you smile?
My sister Tara always says, who knew when I had Lucy that 3 of us were pregnant with your kids? So.
Tanya said she could never have asked her sisters to do this, and she knows her mom is always watching.
That's when I would start kind of losing my faith and giving up hope. I would always think about Mom and how I know she's pulling strings up there, and somehow she made it all work out.
Tanya and Dan's 3rd baby is a boy, and she's due at the end of December. Right now on WCPO.com, we have more information on surrogacy. Tanya?
Great story. Thanks, Carol.